Guys, I've taken some advice from the comments and decided to talk about something that isn't the boys or smiling friends for once. So crank up that Eurobeat and strap in, because today we're taking a look at one of my favorite anime, Initial D. More specifically, what makes the first season of the show so special. Real quick, be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. The story of Initial D is divided into 6 different stages, but today we're only going to focus on the first stage. With the manga being adapted into an anime back in 1998, which is practically biblical times in 2024, I wouldn't be surprised if all you knew about the series was Eurobeat and drift memes.
I knew it! That freaking idiot's going in way too fast! There's no room to slow down. He's going into that guardrail! What the hell? Inertia drift?
So let's jump back in time and get a little more context on why Shuichi Shigeno wrote the manga in the first place. Quick disclaimer, while I've never really considered myself a car guy, I'm informed enough to know how to top off my blinker fluid. So for lack of a better term, consider me car adjacent. Born in the town of Matsunoyama, Japan, Shuichi grew up with an interest in motorcycles, a passion that would influence his first series, Bari Bari Densetsu. After that series concluded, and several one-shots that never took off, a close friend urged him to write a manga about cars. Despite his initial hesitation, Shuichi would go on to release the first chapter of Initial D in the summer of 1995, with the series receiving weekly serialization and Kodansha's weekly Young magazine. With Initial D taking influence from Shuichi's own life, as well as Japanese street racing culture of the 80s and 90s, the manga became a success, leading to over $400 million in sales as of 2021, and of course, resulting in the anime adaptation this video is about. The series itself follows the escapades of Takumi Fujiwara, as he makes a name for himself on the downhill turns of the fictional Mount Akina. But before I get into all of that, how could I talk about Initial D without mentioning the cars? While I think the plot and characters are what makes the show so great, the cars certainly get a lot of people through the door. Despite the somewhat rough-looking 3D models of the first few episodes, the production quality really increases the further you get into the series. From Takumi's iconic AE86 to the badass RX-7s of the Red Suns, if you weren't a fan of 90s Japanese sports cars before, you will be. While the 86 gets plenty of shine throughout the series, that doesn't mean other vehicles don't get their time in the sun. We get to see both versions of the RX-7, an R34 GTR, a Nissan S13, a Civic Hatch, and even a few K-trucks here and there. Man, all this car talk has got me itching to do some driving. Let's see what the market for NA Miatas is looking like these days.
Aw, dang it! Aw, dang it! Aw, dang it!
Initial D.
I know I said earlier that the series was more than just Eurobeat, but I'd be doing y'all a disservice if I didn't talk about the music in the show. Of course, tracks like Running in the 90s add so much hype to the races. Real has to recognize Real, because the Red Suns theme has no business being this steezy.
Looks like we got some company, boys.
Even when the cars are parked and the slice of life aspects of the show are in the forefront, overtures like these evoke an appreciation for the mundane.
We should go somewhere far. The ocean! That'd be totally awesome! What's summer without a trip to the beach?
Oh, and I almost forgot, but the intro Around the World by Move is a banger and should be added to your playlist stat. This may just be a me thing, but a lot of the anime I watch is your typical shonen action type stories. So when I first watched Initial D, I found it very refreshing to see the focus first stage has on the slice of life aspects of the narrative, which is an aspect of the series that I think is lost when you get into the later seasons. Regardless, I think a show like Naruto could have benefited from this a lot, especially in part 1. Despite Naruto going on and on about his friendship with Sasuke, when you strip away the filler, they really weren't teammates all that long. I think from start to finish, part 1 spans a year tops. So Initial D having these times where the driving is on the back burner really gives the characters room to breathe, and adds to the believability that these are real people living in a dynamic world. Anyway, since I keep raving about how good the characters are in the show, I should probably give you all a rundown of exactly who they are.
Tokyo Pop presents, for the first time on DVD, Initial D, the anime street racing blockbuster from Japan. Tak Fujiwara is a wanted man. The Red Suns want to beat him, and the Speed Stars want him to join them.
10 o'clock tonight, on the top of Akina. We'll be waiting.
And they're taking the rivalry to the edge. In the hottest street racing to hit DVD.
I don't care what I have to do, I'll get my revenge.
Racing into stores September 16th at Best Buy. Initial D. Drive, drift, dream.
Like I said earlier, our MC for the series is 18-year-old Takumi Fujiwara, a very low-key kind of guy with a tendency of zoning out. And I know weed is illegal in Japan, but are we sure this dude isn't smoking that tofu pack? Because there are times when Takumi is just gone.
Takumi! Are you even listening to me?
Anyway, unlike those around him, Takumi has no interest in motorsports, and couldn't even tell you what an 8.6 is, even though one's sitting in his driveway. Despite this, thanks to his father's, let's say, unorthodox methods,
Is there a lot more water in here than usual?
Maybe, but the same rule still applies.
Yeah.
Takumi is unknowingly the best downhill racer on Mount Akina. Throughout the first season, Takumi comes to terms with his skills as a racer, learning to live in the moment, and even developing a love for racing along the way. Speaking of love, Takumi has to balance his desire to win races with his budding romance with Natsuki, but more on her in a minute. The second character we're introduced to is Takumi's best friend, Itsuki. In many ways, Itsuki serves as a comedic foil to Takumi's reserved demeanor. If Takumi is quiet and introspective, Itsuki is loud and borderline obnoxious. And I gotta be real, Itsuki is straight annoying in the first season.
Excuse me, pardon me, coming through. Sorry, guys. Takumi! You idiot! Oh, dude, what the hell was that for? I'm used to you acting stupid, but this takes the cake. You know, I hate to say it, but I actually feel really embarrassed for you right now. Move your car off the starting line. Don't screw this up. Get in that 8.6 and move it.
Itsuki, calm down. Get off his case.
He's not Mineta from My Hero bad, but he'll definitely get on your nerves. Fortunately, he gets a girlfriend halfway through the season and chills out a good bit after that. His friendship with Takumi seems a bit odd at first, as there's a lot of aspects to the relationship that make you wonder why they're friends to begin with. Despite their dynamic coming off as a friendship of convenience, Itsuki shows his true colors by standing by Takumi through thick and thin. Ikutani is a few years older than Takumi and Itsuki, and he works with the two as a gas station attendant. As the head of the local racing club, the Akina Speed Stars, Ikutani is like the Morpheus of Initial D, and introduces the two to the world of mountain pass racing. While his skills are amateur at best,
Here goes a hairpin turn in second.
he serves as the voice of reason to Takumi, and helps balance out Itsuki's over-the-top delusions. Bunta is Takumi's dad, and to be honest, Bunta is the GOAT. Not only does he run a successful tofu business, he's also the only guy who could beat Takumi on Akina's downhill. After all, the only reason Takumi is the driver he is at the beginning of the series is because Bunta has been making him run early morning tofu deliveries well before he could legally drive. When he's not chain smoking, he'll typically offer Takumi some sage-like wisdom in a rather blunt fashion. Also, Bunta has the best lines in the show.
I'm begging you, I need your help. My freaking neck, man!
Don't die here.
You know, Dad, if you give me another 6 months or so, I might even become a better driver than you.
What a load of horse crap. I'll always be better than a baby.
As mentioned before, Natsuki is Takumi's love interest, and like most girls in a teenage boy's life, leaves him confused and scratching his head more often than not. The interactions between the two really captures the charm of teenage love and will leave any guy nostalgic for the one that got away. Although, her being a groomer victim really puts a damper on her and Takami's relationship. Yuichi is the owner of the gas station the guys work at and is an old friend of Bunta's. He serves as somewhat of a role model for Iketani Itsuki, similar to what Bunta does for Takami. While Bunta's advice could come off as aloof and disinterested, Yuichi will passionately tell you you're being a dumbass.
You're even dumber than you look. Really, it's like you've never met a woman before, like it's your first day. Now listen to me. She wasn't actually dating this guy. She liked him from a distance. It's just infatuation. Every teenage girl has a crush on an older guy at some point. It's what they do. No different than if she thought some guy from some TV show was cute.
TV?
Keisuke Takahashi makes up the younger half of the Rotary Brothers and is Takami's first official and unofficial win as a street racer.
He passed on the inside. He made Keisuke look like a grandma driving home from church.
In many ways, he's the Seto Kaiba to Takami's Yami Yugi. Naturally, a very passionate person and somewhat emotional at times, it's when he tames these hotter aspects of himself that his skills as a driver shine. Now, there's a lot of secondary characters and lesser antagonists I didn't mention, but they're all footnotes compared to Keisuke's older brother Ryosuke. There's really no other way to say it other than Ryosuke is him. Even characters that hate Ryosuke bring up how much aura this guy has behind the wheel. In contrast to his younger brother, Ryosuke is cool and calculated. Not to mention, the dude has mad drip. An interesting dynamic he shares with Takami that differs from other narratives is who's active and who's passive. Takami isn't like Naruto. He isn't like Luffy. Even though he's our protagonist and has great skill that allows him to reign victorious time and time again, Takami doesn't have an innate goal that drives him, like being Hokage or King of the Pirates. While he's often bored and disinterested, Takami begins the story with no ambition to challenge the status quo, but instead is reactive to the world around him. Ryosuke, on the other hand, is the driving force behind not only the conflict in the first stage, but the overarching conflict in Initial D as a whole. Ryosuke actively pursues the goal of making his team, the Red Suns, the best racers in Gunma, and it's that ambition that pushes Takami to be more than just a tofu delivery driver and become a downhill racing phenom. During the entirety of first stage, Ryosuke's presence is felt throughout the street racing world, and builds in such a way that when Ryosuke and Takami pull up to the starting line on Mount Akina, it feels so impactful. Somewhat unrelated, but this scene before the final race always gets me.
Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna start the countdown.
Hold up!
I know it's usually your thing, but let me do the countdown this time. You don't mind, right? Just for this race?
Initial D!
Throughout the first stage, each race Takami partakes in and wins ultimately awakens his dormant competitive spirit and fuels his love for racing. But when it's time to race Ryosuke, the nerves start to get to him. While Takami was making a name for himself, Ryosuke was studying his improvements and formulated a near-perfect strategy to beat the 8-6 and secure the fastest downhill time on Mount Akina. When the race begins, it's clear Takami is not driving in his usual style. This ultimately results in him swinging a turn wide and spinning out, giving Ryosuke an early lead. Despite this anomaly straying from Ryosuke's master plan, he wasn't going to pass up the opportunity to put some distance between him and the 8-6. Luckily, this was exactly what Takami needed. In high-stress races like this, Takami is a better hammer than he is a nail, and through a combination of slick driving and tire wear on Ryosuke's FC, Takami passes Akagi's White Comet in the exact turn Ryosuke planned on making his move from the jump. With the race over and Takami as the victor, the two pull off to exchange words. In a passing of the torch moment, it's Takami taking the lead for once and probing Ryosuke with questions.
So, there's something that I've been wanting to ask you if you don't mind. And it's gonna bug me if I don't. I just don't get why you waited for me to take charge tonight. You didn't have to do that.
Oh, so you think I slowed down during that last half of the race on purpose, huh? That's not how it happened at all, I hate to tell you.
When it's all said and done, as Akagi's White Comet sails into the distance, Takami finally has something to strive for. The goal of being the best driver he can be. Outside of all the things I mentioned previously, a big appeal of Initial D, and First Stage in particular, are the parallels I could draw between it and my own life. When I first watched this show back in the day with my roommate, I was like 20, and we both worked at valets at a car dealership. So seeing Takami and Itsuki run around the gas station in their uniforms, which weren't too dissimilar to our own, really helped the series resonate with me. It would have been too easy to make the gas station just a minor aspect of the show and leave all the interesting stuff to happen on the turns of Mount Akina. But the first stage of Initial D's focus on the slice of life aspects of these characters' existence has really stuck with me over the years. While it may not be the gas station for everyone, the series taking time to show Takami's relationship with his dad, or his date with Natsuki, is why I think most people in their late teens or early 20s can find something about this show they can connect with on a personal level. To circle back to those last moments between Takami and Ryosuke, despite doing the unthinkable and beating Ryosuke, Takami isn't celebrating, but rather is left with more questions than answers. Yeah, he now has a broader goal to pursue in life, but the short-term steps to achieve said goal aren't readily apparent. After the success he's had throughout Initial D's first stage, he's a young man full of potential thrust into a world of opportunity, but not really sure which direction to go with it. With that in mind, I think it makes what Takami says in the post-credit epilogue all the more impactful.
It's a big world out there.
I think that, at least for me, is the most relatable aspect of Initial D's first stage. After graduating high school, I think I felt very similar to Takami, in the sense I was still trying to figure it out. Hell, all these years later, I'm not really sure I've made too much progress on that front. But that's life, and as you'll see if you continue to watch Initial D, time brings clarity. Anyway, that's enough yapping from me today. Be sure to comment your thoughts on Initial D if you're a fan, or let me know if this video made you want to check out the series for yourself. Anyway, see you on the next Randograph.